I'm a 35-year-old dad and I want to hit a dinger in a baseball game. And I know that might sound crazy because I'm way out of shape and I haven't played baseball in over 20 years. But I just joined a men's baseball league and had to buy all the gear to get started. And I've got a few questions about like how to even get started looking for gear because you haven't done it in so long. And since I just went through this process, I thought it'd be helpful to make this video to show you exactly what I've learned along the way, hopefully save you a little bit of time. So you don't have to watch 1,000 hours of YouTube videos like I did. Unless you're into that sort of thing, then go for it. So with that being said, I don't claim to be an expert. This is just what I've learned going through this process and doing all this research over the past few weeks. So hopefully it's helpful. And if you want to follow along my journey of trying to hit a home run in a real baseball game, then be sure to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And if you want to check out the first video in this series about me trying to hit a home run in men's league at 35 years old, you can check out the video right here. And before we get into all the gear, I just have a couple quick notes that I want to talk about before we get too far into it. The first thing is don't feel like you need everything. If you have a bat and a glove, you can probably play in your men's league. You could probably borrow like a helmet, or maybe if you play first base and you don't have a first base mitt, chances are a couple guys on your team probably have one that you could use. Or maybe you sub in for catcher or something, you could probably use their gear, things like that. And obviously you need like the clothes and stuff. So like, you know, baseball pants, belt, socks, all of that. The second thing is that shopping for baseball gear as an adult is kind of weird. If you go to one of the big box stores like Dick's, the majority of gloves and gear that you see is going to be made for kids because there's not as many adults playing baseball as there are kids playing t-ball and, you know, these 12U travel teams and like stuff like that. As you can see in this clip, I went to Dick's earlier today. I actually picked up a new glove and we'll talk about that in a minute. But there's an entire section of youth baseball gloves and then here's the section for adult baseball gloves. It's a lot smaller. I was able to kind of pick and choose the gear that I bought from big box stores like Dick's, but also places online like Amazon or even like Facebook Marketplace. And there's some Facebook groups where you can buy and sell used gear and things like that. And used gear is a thing that I want to talk about too. And so that kind of segues into my next point is to look for used gear. The very first place that I went when I started to look to buy gear was Play It Again Sports. If you have one in your area, I definitely recommend checking it out. This is a great place to look for gloves, bats, bags, cleats, things like that are typically kind of expensive when you buy them new. And also a bonus of buying a used glove is that it's already broken in. A lot of times when you buy a brand new glove, it is super, super stiff and you've got to play with it for a week or two, play a lot of catch to get it game ready to be able to use it so you can actually catch a ball. I literally just bought this glove today from Dick's Sporting Goods and it is like super stiff. So I definitely recommend getting a used glove if you can find one. But we're going to talk about gloves a little bit more in detail here in a few minutes. But I did just want to go ahead and get that out there. And the last thing about that when it comes to spending money is don't feel like you have to buy everything new, but you also get what you pay for. A lot of used gear can be great, but I'm more so talking about like newer gloves or kind of like the budget gloves. I bought a budget glove and I will share my experience with that in a minute. Spoiler alert, it's not great. So before we get into bats and gloves, which kind of have the most nuance, I kind of just want to talk about some of the basic stuff. You need clothes, right? So I got some baseball pants. I got white ones and gray ones. These are dirty because we just had a game yesterday. I haven't washed them yet. And then I got a belt. Our colors are red, so obviously I got red ones. And then some socks. And I just bought these from Dick's. I looked for some used ones, but I thought wearing used pants was kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, these pants are really nice. I didn't want to get the super cheap, like thin pants. So I got the slightly nicer ones. I think these were like 45 bucks each, which I felt like was kind of a lot for pants, but they should last me a while. I've got both colors and so I think that worked out. And then I just bought like the Nike belt and socks. Again, kind of going back to the adult versus kid stuff. A lot of the belts that you see, like the really cheap, like Franklin belts are kind of made for kids. And, you know, I got a little bit of a belly here. So I got the adult size for that. And it's worked out pretty well so far. We've played a few games, a couple scrimmages. And yeah, that's kind of the clothes. And then more than likely your team will have some sort of jersey that you end up paying. I don't know, it kind of depends on the jersey, but anywhere between like 30 and 50, 60 bucks, somewhere around there. Ours were like $36, so it's not that bad. So that's just the clothes that you need. And my very first stop when I started looking for actual gear was Play It Again Sports. So I was able to get these Nike Huarache cleats, which are usually 150 bucks for $25. Granted, they're used, so when you're shopping for used cleats, you just want to make sure that the cleats aren't like super worn down. These still have a good amount of tread on them. And so obviously I got like a little bit lucky finding one in my size because most of the ones that you find are going to be like, you know, kid sizes. So they're going to be sizes like 5 to 9, 10. Like once you get up like past size 10, The selection is pretty slim, and I did want high top ones too, because I know my knees and my ankles are getting used to the physical activity again. So finding these was definitely like kind of a lucky score, but I do like these so far. And they are really muddy because we had a game yesterday and it rained. So there's that. I was also able to pick up this Marucci Pro Cut bat. I did re-grip it with some new lizard skins, and we're going to talk more about bats and what I've learned about bats here in a minute. I was also able to pick up this Rawlings bag for like 20 or 25 bucks. Which is pretty cool, because like once I started getting all this stuff together, I was like, oh, it'll probably be helpful to have a bag, and I found one pretty cheap for a good price. It has USA on it, America. So I thought that was kind of cool. I will say, after buying this one, I feel like it is a little bit on the smaller side. I wish it had a bigger pocket up top for like all the little things like batting gloves and your big league chew and like your phone, wallet, keys and stuff when you go play. But other than that, it's a pretty good bag. It's a little bit dirty, which is fine. It also felt kind of weird showing up to the field with like everything brand new. It looks like you never played ball before, so kind of gives you a little bit of that. Same with like the dirty cleats. But yeah, good bag for like 25 bucks. So in that first trip to Play It Again Sports, I think I spent like 125 bucks, but I got a bat, I got a bag and cleats for like 125 bucks. So I think that was a pretty good deal, especially since you could spend 125 bucks just on brand new cleats if you went to somewhere like Dick's. All right, so I guess we'll do a little bit of like a what's in my bag segment here. First thing is batting gloves. These are all kind of personal preference. Some people don't even use gloves, but I definitely wanted them, especially since we're using wood bats in this wood bat league. I just went with the classic Franklin CFX Pros. I think sometimes you can get them on sale for around 30, but I think they retail for around 40. If I could buy them again, I would probably get the long cuff ones. That are a little bit thicker. They provide a little bit more wrist support. I'll probably buy those eventually, because batting gloves don't last forever, and these will probably get holes in them eventually the more that I use them. But yeah, these are really good gloves. A lot of the pros wear these, and yeah, they're just super comfortable. They seem pretty durable, and yeah, they're good batting gloves. Since I didn't get the long cuffs, I did get some athletic tape, and I got some of this foam like pre-wrap first, and then like athletic tape. I just got these on Amazon. They were super cheap. I think it was like 18 bucks for, I think it was a 6-pack of both of these. So I got 6 of the pre-wrap and 6 of like the normal athletic tape. So I just keep some of those in my bag. Something that you see a lot of pros use that I didn't really do any research on why you need them, but I just assumed you need them because you see a lot of guys use them, but is these little rubber things that go on your thumb when you're batting. So the first company to come out with them, I think, is called Thumb Pro, and I just figured it was just like, this little piece of rubber, like it doesn't really matter. And I happened to be at Academy Sports one day looking at what they had, and they had this kind of a knockoff version of it. I guess it was only like $8, so I'm like, okay, I'll just go and scoop that up. But I will say it is kind of weird because it'll like, kind of move around. You got to get it in the right spot. But one thing that is good about these is it kind of trains your hands to grip the bat right. So when you're holding the bat, it kind of teaches you to, the top hand to kind of grip more in your fingertips, rather than like digging it into like the heel of your hand right here between your thumb and your index finger. You don't really want to do that and then grip it. You kind of want to wrap your fingers around and then do that. This might seem pretty basic to some of you, but that's something I didn't really know, since I haven't played baseball in 20 years. So that was pretty helpful. And then after doing some research, I started getting some ads for this Thumb Pro. It kind of looks really big and ridiculous, but it is kind of nice because you put it on and it like has a little saddle that goes like right here in between your hands. So it kind of stays in place, and it's a little bit bigger, provides a little bit more like shock protection when you hit the ball or when you get jammed. So you may not need this. You probably don't. But if you have soft hands like I do, it's definitely helpful. I feel like it reduces the bat sting a lot. Last couple things. I just got a couple packs of gum, some Big League Chew, some extra, some good old ibuprofen. And then just some Carmex. So that's kind of in the top of my bag. Leg guard, I just got the Nike one. I didn't get the Evo Shield one, which a lot of guys are using these days. A lot of the pro guys are using them too. This one was 40 bucks. The Evo Shield ones are 100 bucks. So I just bought this one. And then I also found this at like the Dick's like discount like outlet store for 20 bucks. I haven't used it in a game once, but if I come up to bat and there's a pitcher who's like either throwing gas or kind of wild all over the place, I'll probably put this on my elbow because that would hurt. But most of the pitchers I faced so far have had pretty decent control. It seems like nobody's really getting hit by pitches as much as I thought they would. And so I haven't really felt the need to wear that yet. And then also the sunglasses. So I actually haven't worn contacts in, I don't know, probably since about high school. I've always just worn glasses. And so I ended up going to the eye doctor to get prescription for sunglasses, or for contacts, so I could wear just normal non-prescription sunglasses. So these are just Shady Rays. I think they were like $60. So not bad. The 100% sunglasses are definitely cooler, but they're also expensive, and these are a little bit cheaper. And Shady Rays also has like a really good like replacement warranty if they get lost or broken for like a year or 24 months or something. So I thought that was kind of cool. Came with this like hard case too, just so I can like throw it in the bag. So that's nice. All right, so batting helmets. I struggled for a while finding a helmet that would fit my head. I have a big head. I wear like a 7 3/4 size fitted hat. And so it was definitely hard. I went to Dick's and tried on like all the helmets to see which one could fit. The Evo Shield helmet ended up fitting my head the best. It's still a little tight, to be honest, but I think being a little snug is probably a good thing. But this is the helmet that I picked. I also spent like the $20 to get this thing. Probably for the same reason as I bought the little rubber thumb thing, is, you know, you see the pro guys use it. I don't want to get hit in the face. So I think that's some cheap insurance just to, you know, not get a broken jaw or something like that if you run into a pitcher who, you know, has struggle locating their pitches. And yeah, so that's pretty much everything that is in my bag. Now let's talk about the stuff that you more than likely came here for. All right, bats. I now have 3 wooden bats. So that first one that I told you guys was the Marucci Pro Cut. This is a pretty standard one. I think you can get them new for around $80 or $90. I got it used for like $60, I think. And then so I wanted to be cool and flashy and get some cool drip, so I got this bat grip. And I knew that I wanted to have at least 2 bats because wood bats can break. And so I was doing a bunch of YouTube research, and while I did that, I also found about how important the weight of the bat is. And I didn't really think about it like, oh, what's the difference between like 30 and 33 ounces, you know? But when you swing weight with, you know, the centrifugal force of swinging hard, those couple ounces make a big difference. And so I ended up weighing this bat. It's a 33 inch, and it actually weighs 33 ounces. So it's a fairly heavy bat. A lot of guys, just from my research, a lot of guys will swing a 33 inch 30 ounce bat. So that's called a drop 3, when the weight is 3 ounces lower than the length. And so I knew it was a pretty heavy bat, and I knew that as I was swinging it at the cage, I felt like I was kind of just like flailing because it was a little bit on the heavier side. So I wanted to get something that I could swing a little bit more smooth. And in my research, Baseball Bat Bros, I'm sure you've probably heard of them. They make a lot of really good videos. They talked about this kind of no-name blemish Louisville Slugger bat that you can get for around 40 or 50 bucks.
Unbelievable performance by the $40 bat. Again, maybe I got lucky, and maybe this is a 1 in a million $40 bat, but I went into the store and bought this just like any of you would. And I will also say, this is the second time I've picked up one of these cheapo Louisvilles. The first one was maple. The first one was fantastic. The Bomb Bat's the best bat here, but this won the video. I would be all over that.
And so I went and picked up one of these, not really thinking about the weight again. In hindsight, it sounds cheesy, but I'd probably bring the scale to like Dick's Sporting Goods with me so I could weigh it first. And so I knew this one felt lighter, but I didn't realize how light it is. So this is actually a 27.5 ounce bat, and it's a 33 inch, and which is technically illegal in the league because you're only supposed to have a drop 3 bat, maximum. That's supposed to be like the limit. So, yeah, it's a 33 ounce, 27.5, or 33 inch, 27.5 ounces, and got the lizard skin on it. So it's really like a $65 bat because these are like 15 to 20 bucks, depending on if you get the fancy design or just like a plain color. And then also I learned a lot about like turn models and how they weight the wood in the barrel versus like the middle here and versus the handle. This one has a really thin label or thin handle, and I feel like it's more like end loaded is what that would be, where most of the weight is toward the end of the bat. And so the first bat I bought was too heavy. The second bat I bought was too light. And then so I went to go find another one that was kind of in the middle. And so this is another Louisville Slugger, like no name bat. And one of the things that Baseball Bat Bros talked about, they had raving reviews over this, but they are I think they're like blemish bats. So like they produce them and they don't quite turn out exactly how, you know, they're not perfect enough to like put the label on and sell it for $200. So they just put this generic label on it and sell them for 40 or 50 bucks. And so this one in particular felt really good in the store. And this has been my gamer, the first few games that I've played. And I weighed this one. This one's technically illegal too. I think it's 29 ounces. So it's a 33.29. It's a drop 4, which is technically illegal, but we won't say anything. And then obviously you got the lizard grips on it. But yeah, this one feels a little bit more of like a balanced bat because the handle's a little bit thicker. It's not super end loaded, which I think has been good for me just to kind of like relearn my swing and things like that. And then you can kind of get into different knobs, and there's all sorts of different crazy like axe handles and stuff like that these days that, you know, people use. So this one is kind of more of a flared grip, which I do like. I wish it was more like dramatic of a flare and more like tapered here toward like the actual knob, but it is what it is for a $40 bat. Just kind of trying to figure out what you like before you go and spend $200 on a wood bat that you could break in game 1, which is not ideal. Quick note while I'm editing, this bat in particular, if you do go with one of these like no-name Louisville Slugger bats, is to look for long straight grains, because a lot of people will say, oh, these cheap bats will break or whatever. I've been using this a good bit over the past several weeks, and I've hit some off the end. I've gotten jammed a lot, and it has not broken. That's not saying it's never going to break. I think most wood bats will break eventually, but just keep that in mind if you do go and buy one of these. I probably wouldn't buy it online because it's kind of a crapshoot, but if you were to go to Dick's or something like that where you can actually hold it, kind of, you know, soft swing it a little bit, make sure it feels good in your hand. But yeah, just quick note while I'm editing about this bat. All right, the last thing is gloves, and this is probably the most nuanced and like personal preference type thing that there is out there. And picking a glove is really hard because, especially if you're looking online and like watching YouTube reviews and stuff, it's really hard to tell what you like until you actually, you know, put it on your hand. And like, even when you put it on your hand, most brand new gloves are like really uncomfortable because they're super stiff. So it's really hard to like figure out what you're gonna like until you actually use it. So if you have friends who are into baseball, or maybe you go to your first couple games and like see if you can borrow a glove, it's kind of risky because if nobody has an extra glove, then you don't have a glove and you can't play. But if you have a chance to like try out some gloves that are actually broken in and people actually used, not like brand new ones that you try on at Dick's, just to kind of get a feel for what you like, if you can like field some ground balls or something like that. I didn't have any of that, so I had to go strictly off of YouTube videos and things like that. So the first glove that I bought was this Mizuno MVP Prime after watching some Ball Glove King videos. Shout out Ball Glove King. He puts out a lot of really good videos. But I bought this MVP Prime based on that. And so this is something that I learned about budget gloves. So if you try on like a nice glove at Dick's, it is super, super stiff. And even this one was pretty stiff when I got it. But I have found that a lot of the more budget gloves are really more geared toward like youth players. Just in the sense that they break in a lot quicker, which is nice because they get broken in quicker, but now they can get like super floppy. So this one in particular, I was able to like break it in to play catch with it in like a day, which is great. But now, you know, like if I'm just sitting here like playing couch catch, right, like just throwing the ball in, things like that, like it feels fine. But if I'm catching like a line drive, or we're playing catch with somebody and they're like throwing it with any force behind it, it like really snaps my wrist back just because it's like so floppy. And so like it's already like pretty floppy, even though it's like I've only had this glove for like 3 weeks. But I do have a little bit of flare on the thumb, a little bit of flare here on the pinky, and I just kind of wanted like a nice open glove design. That's kind of how I broke it in. I kind of messed up and squeezed the palm a little bit too much, so I got a little bit of wrinkles there in the palm, which if you watch Ball Glove King, that's kind of like a visual cosmetic thing that is just kind of annoying. And you can also kind of feel it when you actually close the glove. You can kind of feel the wrinkles in it. So I wish I had been a little bit more patient when I broke it in to really beat the palm in before you close it too much. But overall, I mean, it's a good glove. It catches the ball, which is really the main point of all of that. But yeah, if I were to do it again, I probably wouldn't buy this, mostly because I have I have a noodle arm, and so I'm probably not even really going to be playing the outfield. I don't even really know how much I'm going to be playing the field in general. Yeah, I don't know. So I bought this outfield glove thinking that I was going to play the outfield, but I don't think I'm really going to be playing the outfield that much. But anyway, so I've been playing more second base the past couple games, and I think that position suits me more, even though we already have like a main second baseman, but he also pitches. So, and we also had an injury yesterday where our catcher got injured on a play at the plate, and so he left the game, and then second baseman went to go pitch, so I filled in at second with an outfield glove. And you would think it wouldn't be that much difference, but it is. Like, it's a big, heavy, floppy glove. It's really hard to like field ground balls. I botched a ground ball play that should have been like an easy out at first. But anyway, so I went out and bought this today. I actually found this. So Ball Glove King talks about this website called justgloves.com, and even like Dick's and Better Baseball Superstore is actually like 20 minutes from my house, which is super cool. I went there the other day. But a lot of them will have closeout deals that are essentially like last year's model that they're trying to get rid of. And so this one is normally $2.99, but Dick's had it for $1.99, and also Just Gloves had it for $1.79. So I ended up getting a really good deal on this. It's an 11.75 glove, which is typically used for shortstop and third base. So I could probably use it for second too. Like, it'll be fine. I'm not a pro out here. So kind of just keep that in mind with gloves. Like, we're not professional baseball players. We don't need the best of the best of the best, but I also don't want something that's going to be super floppy. After my experience with the outfield glove, I knew that I wanted something that was going to be a little bit more stiff and hold its form a little bit more. It's going to take a little bit longer to break in, but it's going to be a good glove. And if I end up not playing baseball, like after this season, or I get tired of it or whatever, or I don't like it, I can sell it. So gloves hold resale value really well, even at Played Against Sports. Some of like the really used, beat up looking gloves are still like $100+. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But yeah, I literally haven't even tried to break it in yet. I just got back from the store like 20 minutes ago. It's literally brand new. So I'm excited about breaking in this glove. I think it's some cool colors. It matches like the team colors, like the red and black and white. So anyway, I think that's everything. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments below. I hope this was super helpful if you're just getting back into baseball and looking for what gear to buy. Yeah, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.